What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big Ten football channel. All right, we've shown you the 2020 schedule for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now we are going to give you their projected record, and this is not an official prediction. Let me be clear on that. This is not our prediction. It's just a projection based on their odds to win each game with the formula that we have in place, given how these teams have been in recent years, who they have coming back, things like that. Just a general idea of how good we think each team is going to be. So this is the schedule for Iowa, and you see we have one game that they absolutely should win, and that's a game against Northern Iowa. We put that at 99%. Next is our 80% games. These are games where we think Iowa will be favored by double digits, games that it would be a pretty big upset if they lost, but not too crazy. I mean, those types of games do happen, or those types of upsets do happen, I should say. So Northern Iowa, we're saying that one's at 99%. And then we go to the 80% games. Northern Illinois, not a horrible team. I mean, they're a decent group of 5 team, so I'm not going to put that at 99%. But when we do this scale, it really doesn't matter because the 80 and 99% games are considered wins when we do the projection. So now our next set of games would be the 60% games. These are games where I think Iowa will be favored by about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8 points, somewhere in there. Games that they're definitely the favorite, but games that they aren't big favorites. And I think that's Michigan State, and I think that's Northwestern. Both of those games are at home. Both teams, I expect to struggle a little bit, or at least Northwestern struggled last year. Michigan State, who knows what they're going to be like. So those are games that probably should be more in a 70% range, but the way we have it broke down, we don't have a 70%, so we're going to put them at 60%. And Iowa's not a team that's just going to be a top 10 team or anything like that this year, so there's no guaranteed wins, I think, for them in the Big Ten, even though Michigan State and Northwestern, I think Iowa's clearly better than them, and they get them at home, but we are going to keep those games in the 60% range. And now we go to the other side of this and look for the games that we think Iowa's going to be an underdog in. And we're going to start with the most extreme. That's Ohio State. We only give Iowa a 20% chance to win this game. I know the colors there, you can't really see them really well because our schedule background is yellow for Iowa. Normally it's black and you can see them a lot better, but the way the graphic worked out for them, it's like that. Anyways, Ohio State's at 20%. I think Buckeyes will be double-digit favorites at home against Iowa. Would be really surprised if Iowa honestly won that game. Now, if it was at Iowa, I think that would be different, probably more like 40%. But playing on the road, I just don't really know if Iowa's going to have enough to be able to really win that game. So we're going to put that one at 20%. And now we go to the games that are 40% games where Iowa would be about a touchdown underdog. And I think Penn State is that game. You can make an argument that this game should be closer to probably 30%, just like you can make an argument that Michigan State and Northwestern should be closer to 70%. But it is what it is. These are the numbers we have, because we can't have 50 different colors here on the screen. It wouldn't work out. So that's the game I think they're going to be an underdog in, but not a game they absolutely can't win. I mean, they're going to be the clear underdog, but they'll have a shot in that game at least. So that leaves you with 6 50-50 games. And a 50-50 game is a game where I think the spread will be 4 points or less, a game that I could see going either way. The problem with the schedule for Iowa is the games that you would maybe put in that 60% range. The games where you think Iowa's probably the better team, they're on the road, and that's Illinois and Purdue. 2 games where Iowa, I think, is going to be better than Illinois and better than Purdue in 2020. But because they play them on the road, I think that bumps those 2 games down into this 50% range. Iowa, I think, will be favored by 3 or 4 points, but not a whole lot. And then you have Wisconsin. Nebraska is tough because we don't know how good they're going to be. I do expect them to be a good bit better. And they played Iowa pretty tough the last couple of years anyways. Minnesota's on the road, going to be a tough one. And, of course, with Iowa State, the rivalry there, that one could go either way. So you have 6 games that could go either way. Iowa probably favored in most of these games, but I think the margin is so small that we're going to call them 50-50 games. So the projection for Iowa is actually 7-5. That is their projected record based off of this formula. If you say they split the 6 games, that's 3 losses, and then between Michigan State, or actually give them a loss to Ohio State, now you're at 4 losses, and then between Penn State, Michigan State, Northwestern, another loss in there. So 7-5 I think is pretty reasonable for Iowa. It's probably about where I am on this team. I mean, I think they could do a little better than that. I don't think they do any worse than 7-5. That's probably about the worst case scenario for this team. I think they're between 7-5, 8-4, maybe 9-3 if things go their way. But a tough schedule with Ohio State and Penn State on the road, and a lot of games that could go either way. It's going to come down to whether or not the Hawkeyes can win those close games in 2020.